This podcast is rated R for restricted. Under 17 requires accompanying parent or adult guardian.
Mission 250.
Welcome to the Mission 250 Filmcast. I'm not going to do an intro because this is part 2. If you listen to part 1, welcome. If you're listening to part 2 without listening to part 1, go away.
You're a weirdo.
Go back to part 1.
No, just go listen to part 1 and then come back. We don't want you to
You're
go
a very
away.
strange person.
Just-
Part 1's
start on
reviews
part
and stuff, some
And if
trivia.
you're just like got some kind of crappy podcast app and you're like, yeah, it just doesn't work right now and you're just stuck with us, that's okay.
That's
It's
fine.
okay.
Welcome. We're
You
doing
just stick
trivia.
with us.
But you're still weird.
If you haven't
for
seen
not
Das Boot,
stopping it.
Das Boot, if you haven't seen it,
Das Poop.
don't listen to it because we're going to do spoiler stuff and it's totally worth watching. Go watch it. But yeah.
Very true.
So welcome to the podcast. We're going to Johnny's book corner first and foremost.
That's right. Johnny's read
book.
maybe a fifth of the book. So, he's
So
a
John, I had a
fractional
question. You
bookworm.
said you read 200 pages, but then you also
Or so.
said you read the ending. So did you
Well,
read
I did.
180 and then skip to the end or something like that?
Yes. Well, I just looked at the ending because I did wonder. I wanted to know if the book ended the way the film did, and it turns out pretty much yes. I was sort of interested to see and I think as far as what I've read from the book, and as I said earlier in the film really follows the book pretty much exactly. It adds some good touches and good dialogue that the book doesn't have sometimes. But really, if it's in the movie, I found it in the book so far with what I've read. So I suspect that just about everything in the movie is pretty much in the book too. Like I said, they talk a lot about the submarine and they do it in a pretty good way because it's like the correspondent's there to sort of learn. So it's like they're teaching him and showing him stuff. So they do it in a pretty nice integrated way in the book. So it's kind of like nice. You get to learn a lot about the subs and what's going on. I imagine as things go on, they'll give you lots of details about what's going wrong and how they're trying to fix things and what they're trying to do. Because it's all really interleaved in the book really well. One of the things they describe is like the sub has like two engines. It's got diesel engine, it's got batteries. And the diesel, that's what you run on the surface because it needs air. And the diesel engine charges the batteries. So the batteries that's what you have to run when you're underwater. And they have a limited charge. And they won't go as fast. So you've got this really complex system where you've got this complex diesel engine that runs the sub when you're on the surface. It needs air. It also then charges the batteries. And it's all got to work. And if any of those things go wrong, you're totally fucked. Like if your diesel doesn't work, you can't charge your batteries. If your batteries don't work, you can't submerge. And if you can't submerge, you're dead.
What happens if the batteries die when you're submerged? Do you sink?
Well, then, no, you can always blow you always blow air. You can always that's all compression. That's like compressed air. So you can put compressed air back into your tanks and rise to the surface, unless something's wrong with that system, which is like when they were on the bottom. So you
Am I
always
an idiot?
can.
How do you get more air when you're already underwater? How does that work? Am I
compress.
stupid?
So you see,
I'm
you know
stupid
scuba
too,
tanks.
'cause I don't know.
You know scuba tanks, right?
Yeah, but
Right?
you have
So-
the same quantity of air. Whether or not you compress it
but
doesn't mean you have
compressed
more.
air is not lighter than water. So your scuba tank doesn't float. Compressed air is heavy. It can be heavier than water. So the whole point about that is then you can let the compressed air and have it be uncompressed in your tanks, and that gives you the flotation.
Johnny Neil deGrasse.
Think about
He's
like
a
a
chemistry
scuba diver.
teacher over here. This is
He's
magical.
a fucking science guy.
It's easy to think about with
He's
scuba
a book
diving.
guy.
Have you
He's
ever
a
done
science guy. Look
it?
at
You've
him.
got like an inflatable vest as a scuba diver too, and you can inflate that vest with air from your tank, right? And that's what can let you float, right? So that's exactly kind of the way the submarine works too. Is like you can have that deflated vest, and then lets you sink, and then if you inflate that vest with air from your compressed air, then you float up. And the submarine's constantly doing stuff like that. Or you can just freaking blow things and just push a whole bunch of air into those tanks to help you rise to the surface.
Just blow,
You can also-
blow away.
You can blow the other way where what you're doing is you're letting water come into those air tanks so that you'll sink fast.
All right,
And
guys,
that's easy.
all
Yeah.
the systems failed. Everyone line up against the walls. We got 48 straws. We all got to blow into the freaking straws at the same time. We'll surface. I swear it's going to work.
I swear it'll work. Neil deGrasse said so.
Someone's not blowing.
Anyway.
Somebody's not blowing. Sorry, John.
It's that. But no, that's just an example. And I think if I were to read the book more, I think as it went along, when they talked about, I wouldn't be surprised if when it gets to ship detection and the sonar pieces, that they would go into detail about how those things work. So it's another reason why I kind of want to read the book more too, other than just what happens is it does a really good job of interleaving detail and function with the story, and that's pretty cool because this boat, it's amazing. It's amazing they've got the system that works. Pretty fascinating how they pull it off, and they do a lot of it mechanically too. So I don't know, it's pretty cool. Something happens in the book that is described that I don't think I'll ever hear of happening or be described again, which is just weird. This is completely apropos of nothing because it's just bizarre in the book to me.
I'm excited.
So they're in the party scene, like at the beginning, and somebody's there with the war correspondent. He's like, I'm going to teach you how to whistle. I whistle really good. And he does whistle really good with his hands. He put the fingers in his mouth and he whistles really good. I'm going to teach you. Go wash your hands. So he goes and washes his hands and he comes back. He says, all right, you ready to learn? He says, yeah. He takes the other guy's hand and puts it in his mouth and whistles.
They should have put that in the movie. That's fucking hilarious.
What?
That is the weirdest thing. I was like, that is the most bizarre thing I've ever heard of. I've never heard of somebody whistling with somebody else's
go
hand.
That
Wash
guy has
your
got a
hands.
finger sucking fetish, and he figured out a way to do it in public.
I mean, that's right.
Guy's a genius.
That's weird.
That's right. I read that. I was like, I had no idea.
So I washed my hands again, right?
I have no
I
idea.
washed my hands.
I was looking forward to seeing if they did it in the movie, but they didn't. And so I'm like, this is the only place I'll ever hear of this happening. So I just appreciated that.
That guy's got to be
Absolutely.
really good because it's got to be like finger placement, right? If you can take like someone else's hand and get the exact finger placement you need to whistle well, that's a fucking talent right there. That's all I'm
I
saying.
don't know. It's
That's
weird.
weird talent.
That's weird. But you're right. Maybe it is a fetish. I didn't really.
He certainly doesn't hate doing it, right? If he's doing it
Yeah.
at parties
That's
and
right.
shit.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. He's practiced it, so he's got a few fingers in his mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
He's gotten sick
Yeah.
a couple times, so he's like, you got to wash him first. I learned my lesson a couple
Right.
times.
So what
Right.
was do you know, like and maybe they said this in the movie, I don't remember, but do you know what the Germans called the British, like their nickname for them?
No.
No.
So like the Germans could be called like Jerry's, that was kind of the sort of nickname. The British were called Tommies. So throughout the book, the bad guys are referred to as Tommies. So
Huh.
it's like there's Tommies getting smarter or whatever. And so I hadn't sort of heard that as a reference, but apparently that was common.
Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell in the movie.
Yeah. It was in the book a lot. So that was like the sort of like just kind of cutesy name for your bad guys.
Maybe that was like an
Charlie.
accessibility thing to remove that, to be like, who the fuck is Tommy? And just confuse people. Like that might not have been good to have in the
No,
movie.
it was, again, you just have a general name. Like you had the Jerry's, that was like the German's name or
Oh,
that's
no,
like
I know.
but,
I'm saying like they probably wrote it out of the movie for
Oh, that
to
was
not
just
no one
confuse
knows
the,
what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe like they didn't know. Who's Tommy? Who's this Tommy
Right.
guy?
Fuck
There
is
must be a
Tommy?
bad mofo, that Tommy guy
Yeah.
that's after them. That's right. Yeah. But that was, again, I had a lot of notes as I was reading the book, but then when I turned the movie captures like most of it. Like a lot of the things I was like, oh, that's really cool and that's interesting. I'm going to make a note of that for the guys. And the movie captures it. So I
Wow.
really feel like they sat down and went over this book with a fine tooth comb and like really tried to capture the things that were in the book and put them in the film.
Yeah.
So it's again a really well done job. I think that's all I got for John's book corner.
Nice.
Hey.
Yeah.
It's a good book corner.
Yeah, I like the book corner.
Me
Is
too.
this the
It's a nice corner.
well, the second time, I guess, that the book
What do you
corner
mean?
is going to make me read a book. Star Wars wasn't necessarily a
right.
book corner, but like
No, that was the before
That
the
was
book
the-
corner became
yeah.
official.
Part of the
Yeah.
motivation.
Corner, book corner.
It
Yeah.
was the origin story
Ah.
of the book corner.
yeah. I'm excited. I've read a couple of bad books recently.
Ah.
So
Johnny won't steer you wrong.
I saw reviews of the book that complained about the translation, but I think it's good. I actually, it reads really well. I think even more so once you've seen the movie. I think now that you've seen the movie, it'll be really easy to get into the book too.
what are these people, German and English speaking, and they read both versions and they're criticizing the differences between the two? What are
Probably,
these
yeah.
people doing?
They're the
They got a lot of
assholes
time
on the
on their
Zoom
hands.
call that got the bookshelves behind them,
That's right.
That's right. I know what books are.
Yeah.
I'm freaking smart.
Yeah.
I
That's right.
read.
Got a lot
I'm
of 'em.
smarter than you, so that's just what it is.
But I can have so I'm really surprised at this director that he didn't do more. I mean, he did amazing
Oh, he
things.
did
He did more, but it's like he didn't do
TC,
anything
guess
like
what?
this.
Guess what movie he was? So like,
know.
guess what movie
I
he did
know.
directly after this movie? It was so
Do
he went
him
to
like multiple choice.
multiple choice. That might be hard to come up with anything that wouldn't be obvious for the answer.
I know. That's true.
You're
What
not,
did he do? Just come out
Let
with
me
it.
The
get- how
never-ending
about we do
story.
genres? Let's see. Hey, TC,
Oh,
pick
really?
one of these genres. Oh,
The
shit.
never-ending
Sorry, John.
story?
God damn it. Is that
I
your job
loved
this
that
tonight?
one
Is
as a
just to
kid.
ruin me?
I thought you already
Yeah,
agreed that
Das
we're just going to tell
Book.
him.
I was about to have a good idea, but anyway,
Ah,
yeah, the
sorry.
never-ending story.
That's fucking awesome.
That's
I
like the
loved
next
that.
move.
I used to love that.
So,
as a
dude,
kid.
he did a bunch of German movies. He did Das Boot, I get it as two, but Das Boot. God, this is so fucking annoying.
Yeah,
Do I
it's
call it
Das
Das
Boot.
Boot or Das
Boot.
Boot?
It's Das Boot. If
Boot.
you look at the
Das
like
Boot.
Google
Das
Translate,
Boot.
say it. It's Das Boot.
Das Boot.
Yeah, well, fuck
Yeah.
Google Translate.
Like,
I'm calling
boat
it Das
is spelled
Boot.
boot. In German, it's spelled. It's you
boats.
say boat.
Right.
basically.
And that's
Das
what
Boot.
Wolfgang Petersen
Yeah.
called it. He said Das Boot every time he said it.
Yeah.
So it's got to be that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
So he did Das Boot, and then he did Neverending Story, and then he did Enemy Mine, which we mentioned recently because
Right.
somebody else was going to direct it.
Because somebody else turned it down. Gilliam, I think maybe Gilliam.
Gilliam. Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Gilliam turned it down to do
Ah,
Brazil.
Right.
And then I guess Wolfgang Petersen picked it up. That movie was a bomb. I was looking it up actually. It bombed.
I liked it. I remember seeing it and I kind of liked it. It was interesting.
Then
But,
he did Shattered, which I'd never heard of before. And then he did In the Line of Fire with Clint Eastwood. And then he did Outbreak with Morgan
Right.
Freeman. And
Outbreak?
then he did Air Force One with
Wow.
fucking Harrison Ford. And then
Oh,
he
he
did
had a run.
The
He had a
Perfect
run, huh?
Storm with fucking George Clooney. And then he did Troy with Brad Pitt.
Wow.
That was his run.
But none
and then
of
he
those
did
are like-
Poseidon, which wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily a huge bomb, but it just
Okay.
barely made its budget back. So, which means they probably lost like $100 million on advertising and whatnot. And it got really bad reviews. But man, he had a fucking run there in the 90s.
Kind of, but
Wow.
he didn't continue to make like films that are destined to go down in history like this one. you
you
know,
don't
like
think,
classic, right?
I
Well,
like
Outbreak.
Troy. Outbreak is really good. Air
I like
Force
that.
One was
Yeah, Outbreak
entertaining.
is-
Outbreak was it wasn't
At the
Morgan
time,
Freeman. Wasn't
Outbreak
like
was
Dustin
big.
Hoffman in Outbreak too? Was
Yep.
it Dustin Hoffman? Yeah. Yeah, that one was a scary film.
That was
Um,
very scary.
Not as
film.
scary as what
yeah.
we're living through right now, John.
I know. Well, no,
Almost.
actually Outbreak was pretty I think it was a little bit worse.
28
I-
days later.
I don't know.
Right.
I don't remember what the body count was on Outbreak.
Yeah, at least we don't got zombies right now. That's a plus.
Yeah,
Right,
there's-
exactly.
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh God. That's all we
But
need.
basically, after Poseidon, he stopped directing. He has one called Four Against the Bank from 2016. But, I don't think anyone saw it. It's got 2,000 votes on IMDb and bad reviews. So,
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know. None of those films compare with this. I mean, maybe those are good films, but man, this is like really just a cut above quite a lot of things that we see.
Yeah, this movie
Damn.
deserves to be, on this list, and none of the other
Yeah,
ones
it deserves
do.
to be higher than what it is. But yeah,
Yeah, I was watching this and just like, but I think this most compares to me like to Full Metal Jacket, and I like that movie. It's intense and unpleasant, and there's little funny parts, and you get to know the characters. But this movie is like, it's just so much better in every way. Like it's so much
I think
better.
it'd be interesting when we get to like I don't know Apocalypse Now or Saving Private Ryan and to think back on this film in comparison.
True.
Because I think right now that I still think this is heads and shoulders above even those films. But I don't know. We'll have
I
to-
will
I'll have
fight
to
you on
reflect
Apocalypse
it when
Now,
we get
John.
there.
I will fight you.
We'll fight. That's fine.
We will fight.
I haven't seen Apocalypse
Virtually
Now
fight.
in a long time. I'll be interested to look back on this. We'll make a mental note to look back on this film when we get to those.
Mhm.
I feel like I watched that one recently.
It's fucking
Apocalypse Now.
fantastic.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I could have been a contender, but now I'm in the
Could have been a
jungle.
contender. Charlie.
Are you guys ready for trivia time?
Let's go, Teddy.
Yes.
So this commentary there's only a commentary on the director's cut, so it's 3.5 hour long commentary. It's really, really good. If you are into commentaries, highly recommend listening to it. It had Wolfgang Petersen. It had I'm gonna mess up these names, and I apologize. Jürgen Prochnow, who was the captain, the actor who played the captain in the movie, was on the track, and then somebody else called Freiermuth, who was the producer of the direct-
Friarmuff.
Freiermuth. He said his name, and I wrote it down. I wrote down Freyeermoth. I don't know if that's how you
Freiermuth.
spell it.
Okay, fine,
But that's,
whatever.
yeah, whatever.
One of the producers.
Whatever. We're calling him
So
Friarmuff.
he was the producer of the director's cut, which means that he did not
Oh.
work on the movie at all, but he put up the money to
So what's
redo
the story
movie.
there? Can we get into the story there, or do you want to do commentary more first?
Yes, we can
I'm
get there.
interested in
We can
that.
go there.
Okay, let's
so
go there.
they filmed this movie with knowing that it was going to be a theatrical release and then also a television release. It was a combined German, Italian, and French production. Even before it went to Germany for its main production, they tried to make it into Hollywood.
So I know there was a TV series. I did not know that the TV series was basically
Plans.
this movie.
Yeah, the TV
Or I
series
thought it
is
was
this
separate.
movie. That's the 6 hour.
wow.
That's the 6 hour long version.
It's basically just a TV series.
Yeah, there's 3 episodes. They're each 2 hours long. It's a 6 hour
Wow.
version of this movie. It's just a
Holy
longer
cow.
cut of this.
That
movie.
makes me almost want to. Knowing that makes me kind of want to watch.
People
that,
say it's
knowing
pretty
that
good.
It's like, yeah.
But I mean, even so, people say
It's the
that
same group, the same crew, and everything.
it's the exact.
same
It's
movie?
the same movie. It's just
It's the
longer.
movie. It's just the longer cut, but it's cut
Interesting.
into 3 segments. Huh.
So if you really like the movie, from what I've garnered off the internet, watch the TV version. It just adds more character stuff. It's slower and less. I mean, this movie is, the pacing is really good. It's 3.5 hours. I never get bored. It sounds like even if
but
you
I
like
get
the movie,
I get tired. I don't get bored. I get worn out.
it's a long
So-
time. Yeah.
yeah.
But like in the 6 hour long version, that's 6 hours long. That's
Right.
really long.
Well, but you think about like I know it is, but you think if it's like a series, you're like thinking you're watching an episode at a time or something. You're gonna watch like one episode a night or something.
Did you guys watch
but-
this in one sitting?
Oh yeah.
No.
No?
I got
I did.
I watched. I know
I
I didn't. I like got like through the first hour or so in one sitting, and then the next night I did the rest,
Oh, not bad.
which worked out well enough because it's like
Not bad at
it's
all.
them getting out to sea and everything, and then like going
Having
into
the
that,
ends, like all the intense parts, and then the finale together is probably the most important thing.
yeah, I agree.
But
so
yeah,
what about the director's cut? Then how did that like come about, and what happened there? Where they decided to did they just want to take that 6 hours and recut it to make a director's cut, or
yeah, there were scenes that Wolfgang Petersen thought he wanted to keep into the theatrical cut, but there were rules about what you could actually release in theaters in Germany back then. Like I think are there still rules? I think Tarantino kind of breaks those sometimes, and only independent theaters will play like the Roadhouse or Roadside edition of like the Hateful Eight and things like that. Like theaters don't want to play 4 hour long movies because it's the same price as a 2 hour long
Right.
movie, so they're getting like half the money. It's like a ripoff.
right?
of it.
Okay,
So there were rules like that. So they had to cut it down past where Wolfgang Petersen thought he wanted it. And since they were shooting it at the same time as this 6 hour long TV show, they had a shit ton of footage with a lot of character development. And from the book, I think Wolfgang Petersen got a screenwriting credit. Yeah, he did. So he wrote the screenplay, but you're saying
Right.
it was the same as the book. So he just translated it to screen.
well, yeah, but brilliantly. I don't think that's an easy thing to do.
No.
I'll say that, and then I'll also say that the book is so like sort of clearly written that it also looks like it makes a nice direct translation. Like the way the book is written is pretty direct, and you can, and I don't know, and maybe it's still a brilliant job by him, but you just see such a parallel between the two that it just feels really natural. It's not like you're spending a lot of time. You spend some time in the correspondent's head. So that's what the book will do that the movie won't do, of course. But really, you're seeing just a lot of descriptive, reactive kinds of things in the main way that the book does it. So it seems like you could really take that book stuff and turn it into the movie. I don't know, pretty directly. But again, that's probably still takes a lot of skill to pull off.
Yeah. So that's basically what they did, is that they had a 2 hour version and then a 6 hour version. And Wolfgang Petersen was like, I want a movie has all these parts that I thought, are a little too much in the 6 hour long cut, but need to be in the movie to make it exactly what I want it to be. It was kind of just his, it was a director's cut, John. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
Oh no, it's just interesting that somebody else came in later and decided to
Funded it, yeah.
produce it and say, all right, we're going to take all this footage and I've got money. I'm going to like pay for us to get this all together, Wolfgang. What do you think? Okay, sure. Right. I guess that's just sort of what happened. I don't know what motivated that or how that came to be.
Yeah, they didn't really talk about that.
No.
Probably just.
Well, thanks, Denny, for this big gap in your
listen to
trivia.
the fucking 3.5 hour long commentary. What do you want from me? It didn't come up in their conversation. But when they were, this started off as a German production, but they didn't have what they thought. They didn't have the skill in Germany to make the movie because they don't have such a movie industry as like Hollywood. So they brought it to Hollywood. They tried to sell it there because there was a lot of big special effects in the script.
Yeah.
The first iteration of the movie was going to star Robert Redford as the captain.
No way.
Yep. That fell
Wow.
apart because the production company in that version wanted to change a bunch of what the Germans were doing.
Oh, I thought they'd like make it like, oh no, they're British or something. But
well, no,
we didn't
they were
have
trying to
yeah.
like the movie doesn't have any America, like the United States is not in this movie at all.
Sure.
They wanted
right.
to add that into the movie, and
Mm.
there was just conflict about that. It was in pre-production for a year, and it fell apart because they couldn't
Oh, thank
agree
God.
with that.
Yeah.
Next, another production company picked it up, and Paul Newman was going to be the captain.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
You go from Redford
Of
to
course.
Newman.
They go to
as
that's
you
right.
do.
That's right. That's exactly right.
That
And they
production,
they nod at each other from afar, and it's like, almost the same thing.
that production fell apart because the people in pre-production couldn't figure out how they were going to do the shot where the two submarines meet each other in the ocean.
That was it?
That was the only reason that production fell apart.
Holy cow. I really wonder. So they ended up not doing this in Hollywood
Yeah, they did it in Germany.
because
They got
Wow.
kicked out of Hollywood because they tried, but then they got kicked out.
they got kicked out of Hollywood where supposedly the state of the art was, and yet they pulled this off.
Better than Hollywood could have done it, dude. I don't think I've seen
Right.
special
I mean,
effects like this.
that's what,
before.
That's pretty
what's
awesome.
astonishing then. It's like,
You're
wow.
gonna
It's like
your,
not
your
what
heads
you
are gonna
expect.
explode when I tell you what's going on in this
All
movie.
right, I'll
with the
turn off
special
my
effects.
camera because it'll be messy.
I can take it.
Yeah, okay. Well, all right. Let me put a bag over my head so my wife doesn't have to clean it up.
That's
Right.
very kind of you. You think a
This
paper
is
bag
getting
will
dark.
keep the blood
Yeah,
and
this
the
is
skull
getting
chunks in
dark.
there?
Oh yeah, it'd be a lot. It'd be a big mess. You know how much blood is in your body, but in
John,
your head,
you've
there's a lot
more
of
than
blood
anybody else in my life, you've reminded me how much blood is in my head.
there. Yeah,
You just like bringing it
You know how
up.
much blood is in your head?
there's a
You have
shitload
any
of blood.
idea how much blood is in your
You
head?
ever got a cut on your skull and how much it bleeds? Think about it. Anyway,
All right. So, are we ready to get into this?
yeah.
Wait,
So
so wait.
Ben ready.
I had a couple more of the
we were on this thread about how they pulled it off in Italy, which I'm just like, again,
Germany.
in Germany. So they pulled it off in Germany. I just can't imagine how they did this. Where I imagine a lot of people might have been doing things they'd never done before.
And we'll never do again because it was dangerous.
Fair enough.
Oh.
Sort of a come and see situation. Are those light bullets?
Probably not as yeah, people's lives were in danger when they were making this movie.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go linearly through this, if you don't
Okay.
mind.
So they couldn't figure out how to do the double sub. That was it. That was the sticker. I'm just
That
sort
was
of
the
interested,
sticker.
like out of everything else that they had to do, which also was going to be pretty complicated.
They might have just gone through shot
You
for
know what?
shot. 'Cause, I mean,
Having two subs appear in the movie was not central. That didn't have to happen.
dude, when that happens in the movie, I was like, "What the fuck? They have two submarines?" That's what I
Right.
thought, and I was like,
know,
"Holy crap!"
it was cool and astonishing. But as far as the plot goes, it didn't need to be there. It really doesn't do anything as far as the way it's cool, but you really didn't have to have two subs in there.
I thought I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
not
just the
necessary.
general
It's cool.
luck and chaos of war. I liked his
Right.
little speech afterwards where he's just like, we're wandering around in the ocean. We haven't hit any enemy ships and we almost run into another fucking submarine on
It
our
just shows
side.
how incompetent. But you didn't even have to. You didn't have to show the two subs in the same scene. Even like they could like see a sub through the periscope, or there could have been any number of ways they could do it that doesn't have to show these two big ships. It's not necessary. You could have said
Yeah,
like, is
I agree.
that critical? And then no, it's not. All right, Redford, let's go. I mean, or Newman, whichever one it was second, I forget, but
It was Newman second.
Newman. All right, let's go, Newman. We don't need the two subs. Come on.
Who do you
just
think?
look into your beautiful blue eyes.
I
and
think I would have
everything
liked
will be
Redford
okay.
better in that role.
Yeah. No, he did
Yeah.
that. Didn't Redford do that? Like,
Didn't he
did
do a
movie where
submarine one?
he
Didn't he
was
do a
in a
movie?
yacht
Oh, did
or
he?
a boat.
He
Newman-
did a
something.
recently.
Navy. Something.
Yeah, he was just him in a boat, and I never saw it.
He did a
'cause I was
movie
like, I don't
recently
wanna
where
see-
his boat got a hole poked in it, and
Let me
then
look it
he was
up.
all by himself, and he had to
Yeah.
stay alive.
Yeah, that I never saw it, but yeah, he did that. Him with the beard, just that makes sense. He seems to have that captain.
Although
sea
there
captain
already
look
were a lot
about
of
him.
redheads in this movie, so like maybe one too many redheads at that point. I don't know.
Oh, what? Do you got a problem? What? Do you? That's too many redheads. Pass the redhead.
Statistically, it
Too
doesn't
many
make any
of
sense,
them.
John.
That's
Statistically,
not right. You
what is this?
can't
The
have that
redhead boat?
many.
They're purposely putting all the redheads on this boat. It doesn't make any sense. I'm starting to think about it. It's taking me out of the movie.
I
Don't like
see.
it.
Yeah, well, so we all have our biases, I guess.
I guess.
Ugly sides, whatever.
Hey, my brother's a redhead. Come on now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if that's not making it better.
It does, doesn't it? I think it does. I think that's how that works.
Well, yeah, you also say, and I love him.
Oh, and I love him.
There
Hi,
you go.
Sean.
That's all right. Hey,
Hi.
Sean. Thanks for the theme song, which still sounds great.
Yes.
That's right.
All right, here we go. Trivia time. They had this large tank in Munich. They did a lot of the underwater shots in the tank. They did a lot of the, on top of the water tanks in the shot or in the tank. They did a lot of the explosion shots in the tank, and they did all the.
So how big was the tank? Was the tank like scaled to a submarine size, or?
So all the subs or all the main subs were 1/6 scale. So that
Okay.
equals about 11 meters. And I think the craziest thing they mentioned in the movie was whenever you had a submarine going through the water and you could see the entire boat, and there was a boat bobbing up and down in the water. That was an 11-meter model, and there was a guy inside the model laying down flat with an oxygen tank, controls, and a monitor so he could see out of the front of the ship. And he was basically in this tiny little fucking weird custom-made boat skimming through the North Sea, which is like right next to Germany, in waves.
What?
Yeah.
God
just
damn it!
I
don't. This film is amazing.
Yeah.
Just
a guy laying flat. Whenever they talked about it, whenever those shots came up, they're like, "Oh man, I'm so glad that guy didn't get hurt because he was in there. We're all filming him. He was. They built this thing custom. There's nothing else like it. It's basically
he's in this
a
little
mini
go-kart
submarine
of a
where
boat
he's
out in the sea.
He's basically in a tiny submarine and he's a giant and he's laying in it flat with tiny controls and a screen so he can see where he's going. Kind of. I mean, I don't know how good he can see, and an oxygen tank.
And what was this?
my
And he
God.
was just so they could shoot it.
Yeah, so they could get the
What was
shots
it?
of the.
Of the
That's
boat
crazy.
moving through the water, right?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
It's insane.
Just like why? How did they even think about that?
I don't know.
Like that's our solution.
And then they shot those scenes at like 55 frames a second. So when you played it back regular speed, it like had a little more weight to it, a little more lumbering, slowed down the actual movements.
Oh wow, interesting.
It fucking worked so good.
Oh no, it does.
Wow,
it does.
did.
So well.
I thought it was a real sub.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe. To stop saying, I just can't believe it's not a real boat. I would have sworn. If you said, yeah, they got 2 submarines, I think, yeah, of course.
It's like, how else could they have done it? There was 2 submarines on screen. That's what happens.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. What did they have 2 little submarines with 2 little guys, like hoping they didn't run into each
No,
other?
so that scene with the 2 submarines, that was a front projection.
What's this? I still don't quite understand this front projection.
So the only thing is, so it's weird because you have the set. I'm using my hands here. You got the set and you got a screen, right? A rear projection is when the camera is behind the screen on the opposite end of the set. So you got set, screen, camera. That's rear projection.
Okay.
Front projection is when you have set, screen, but then the camera's on the same side of the screen as the set. So it's set, so like
but then
set and
wouldn't
camera
you
on the
worry
same
about
side.
like shadows and shit like that if that's what's going on? Like they would be blocking the projection and you wouldn't.
I think the
I think
camera
it's
is behind the
it's
set,
the
but
opposite,
in front of the.
right? I think
Yeah.
it's the opposite.
Oh, is it?
The rear projection is when the projector's behind the screen, projecting onto the onto the
Yeah.
right.
That's rear
So that-
projection,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And-
Okay.
yeah,
So
right,
front
right,
projection is like you're seeing like, so they have to like invert what they show you or something, like, so they project it and then you're seeing like the mirrored image on the other side. And that's what you're seeing.
And then they shoot at the screen. Right.
They shoot- yeah,
So
yeah.
it's rear. It's rear projection. They're
Right,
projecting
okay.
it
I
to
need-
a
I need
translucent
a, like,
screen.
diagram here.
Then that translucent screen on the other side of the screen
Is
has
filmed.
the picture.
Right.
And then you
Right.
have
That's
the
what
camera.
I'm trying to say.
So
then
it's
front
rear
projection.
projection is rear projection
Right.
is what you're
That's what you're trying to
I'm
say.
trying to
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And front projection is
Yeah.
when it does basically the same thing, but the camera is on the same side as the actor. So you don't have to have a translucent screen. You can just have a screen, and it's more like a movie theater screen. Like a movie
Right.
theater projector is front projection.
Wait, what? So you're saying the projector and the camera are in the same spot, basically, in the sense that
Yes.
like projector is shooting, the lens is shooting the same way the camera is.
Yes.
That's what. And they were shooting what for like this? The projector was above and shooting down at the screen. That must have been it, right?
It could have been.
Because you
or
can
it could have been,
angle,
like,
you can angle the
could-
projectors. Even then, you can
You can
angle
still
the
put
projectors.
like you can have the filming camera and then the set, and then the projector, and then the screen. Like you could do that too.
Yeah, as long as the projector's up high enough, you're not going to get too many shadows. If the
Right.
space between the front of the projection screen and the set,
John's
is
looking it
far
up. He
enough.
doesn't trust any of us.
But
Yeah.
like, it makes more sense in my mind to do rear projection and then
Me
just
too.
shoot the screen. Yeah,
Right. Why would you
It's
not?
weird.
I don't know. They didn't
But they
do
didn't
it at
have
all.
it then. I don't know. They may not
They
have
just
had
used
it.
front projection, maybe. But they
That's
used
all they
rear
had.
projection.
What do you mean?
like-
They're building little ships with the guys in them. Fucking...
So here's what I'm seeing. Like I've got like from Wikipedia an image of front projection, and they project onto like a two-way mirror that then actually does
Jesus,
project.
two-way mirror? What the fuck? Where are we going?
two-way
Well,
mirrors.
Wait.
Fuck me.
It actually then projects in front of the person, and so it shows.
I'm already
it shows
lost,
them
John.
behind.
I am. You lost me at two-way mirror.
All right,
I'm looking it up now because I don't get it.
all right, here.
All right, you guys look this up. I'm gonna start going through the
Hey,
trivia.
look at this
Oh,
picture. I
shit,
got a
you can
picture
post
for
links
you.
in Skype? Look at this.
Okay.
Wait,
okay,
what happened? I couldn't click
okay.
that.
Right. So front projection is what it sounds like. The projection is in front of the actor,
Yeah,
and it's being projected to the back of them,
but there's a mirror that takes away the shadow.
that angles it. That,
Oh, it
that maybe
angles.
helps. It
Oh.
maybe by angling it sort of helps with the shadow
In
there.
the little
I don't
image
know.
there, it shows the shadow,
Right.
but the camera's in the right
Yeah.
spot.
But
but
it
it's
does
like going
show.
through.
But that's
the
what I was thinking of
fucking-
front
that's
projection, which
weird.
is where you would worry.
Why would you do
about the
that? That
shadow.
looks way more complicated than rear projection.
It must not have existed back then.
No, it did, because I mean they had rear projection back in the 40s, and this is in the 80s.
Oh, did they? Oh shit! I don't know. I think the '80s feel like it's fucking 2 lifetimes
This is
ago.
Germany, though. Maybe it was like a Hollywood freaking
yeah,
technique.
right. Like
I
they
don't know.
didn't have any. They didn't have the guy. They had the guy in the water with the fucking laying down. So I don't know. Seems like they could craft some fucking crazy
You'd
shit.
think so.
This is the same source. So now we can see rear projection, which is it's exactly what I thought. That
Did I do a
So
bad
rear
job of explaining?
projection-
Because I thought I was being clear, but
Yeah, you did a bad job.
fuck.
I had no idea what you were talking
Denny,
Yeah.
Denny, I love you, and you do a great job most of the time, but you did a bad job.
That's
here.
fine.
about.
Everyone has a rough
Just to let
time
you know,
every once in a while.
everyone has everyone
That
goes
is
up,
what I
goes
was
down.
trying to describe. That was literally what I was trying to
Two-way
describe.
mirror thing, though. I don't know. That's not good either. I
But
don't-
anyway,
this is
but
weird
that's
shit.
like the front.
See,
front
what
projection-
it is you got a kaleidoscope.
is,
Oh, fuck.
is-
There's a kaleidoscope.
There's you take a light and you put it in
Yeah.
front of a trash can,
Well,
and the fucking thing goes through a mirror.
You got to
and,
make sure
yeah,
the trash
it's
can is
what it
made out of tin, not aluminum.
Yeah,
Otherwise, the
yeah.
reflection's not going to be
You've
as good.
seen meteorologists. That's what they do. That's what they do.
Anyway, they
Anyway.
did front projection.
We haven't even
right.
got, guys,
Look
we've
it
been
up
going
if
for
you wanna
40
figure
minutes.
it out.
I haven't even gotten to any of the trivia yet.
Oh god, let's go. Keep going.
Let's go. All right, so there's this big ass tank they built in Munich. The first shot of the movie where the submarine is coming at the camera, that was in the tank. That was a 6 foot or a 6 meter model. They did everything in meters. A lot of the underground shots or underwater shots were in the tank. All the explosion shots were in the tank. They shot those at 1,500 frames per second. Those depth
Wow.
charge shots. All the tank stuff was done by a second unit.
So
They
so
worked-
when they did that, why did they do the super high speed shots?
Because
catch
so there
the
were very,
explosion.
very tiny explosions, very, very
Uh-huh.
tiny explosions. And if you they just happen like boop, it's like a little flash of light. You can't see it.
so if you do it, it like extends the explosion. If you
No,
do
you
it, it
slow
like
it
makes it all
down.
longer
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
bigger, kind of
The
almost.
faster,
Down
the,
to the
faster
24
camera
frames a
speed,
second,
the
right?
slower it plays when you play it.
Because
back.
those depth charge explosions were very impressive. It
fucking
looks
crazy.
really good.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks
Dude,
scary.
the editing during those scenes with the sounds, the visuals of the depth charges, the boat shaking, and then also the camera shaking and the acting
Yeah.
and like the quick cuts between everything. That shit was just
It
the
was
most
great.
intense stuff.
Yeah.
So that first shot, he didn't like it. Wolfgang Petersen didn't like it because he wanted the boat to go completely over the camera, kind of similar to like a Star Destroyer in Star Wars.
Right,
Where you
yeah,
have the
yeah.
entire length of it go over. You can tell, I didn't notice it because I wasn't expecting anything, but knowing that's what he was going for and where they cut it, I could see his disappointment because it only as soon as it gets close to the camera, it cuts and goes to the title screen.
Yeah.
They tried to shoot that for weeks. They shot it 50 times, and that was
Holy
the best
shit.
shot they could get.
Why couldn't they do it? Why couldn't they just have the boat go overhead? It just didn't.
It was hard to they were afraid of the camera. They built a little glass box in the ground, but those shots were so like most of the shots underwater were filmed from a glass box in the tank where you could actually climb in, like 3 people could go into this little box and you could film from
Whoa.
a safe little space. But those shots, there were a couple in the movie where they didn't want to break the camera. They had this super expensive, high quality underwater film camera that they could put
Wow.
underwater, and they didn't want the model to hit it because these models are fucking huge, like 6 meters.
Right.
They're made out
Yeah.
of metal. They would break the camera if they touched it.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
So they were just
thought they
afraid
just-
of like
Oh,
a second
wow.
unit, and Wolfgang kind of talked negatively on it. Not
Oh.
too negatively, but like it wasn't him doing those shots.
No,
was
it
a
makes
second
sense.
unit.
Like you'd really want, it makes sense. You want the whole submarine to just run right over you. Like that's cool.
Yeah.
You think it, yeah. I mean, totally you get why you'd want to do that. Again, I'm impressed that I guess these guys are also operating on a bit of a budget too. It's like, this is what we got. We can't fucking break this. I mean, that's also
well,
like,
sort of. This
yeah.
was the highest budget movie Germany had ever made for.
oh, okay. So they
I think
were doing
with,
good
with
there.
inflation, it still is the most expensive movie they've ever made.
Okay, so they weren't operating on the cheap then, but
No.
they still were terrified of that. They couldn't afford to get another camera
They
like that.
they were
either.
on the brink. Like they had all their money spoken for. So if they broke something, they were fucked.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
50 times? Why wouldn't you just give up
50
at 20?
times. Yeah.
I mean, like, all right, boys, we're not gonna get this. Let's,
I think I said this last episode. Like, they shot this movie over a year, and the second unit was going in this tank in Munich for that entire year. They were doing a bunch
Wow.
of different stuff, but like 50 times over a year, it's not too bad. Maybe they had like a week off when
Yeah,
they were
but
setting
still,
something
it's
else
a
up.
lot of fucking time.
It's a lot of times.
A lot of tries to miss.
Most of Wolfgang's shots were between 7 and 8 takes, which is not bad for all
Oh.
those people.
I guess not bad, but yeah, tough.
Still
Man,
a lot,
I just
though.
think
7
thinking
or
of all
8
the long
takes is
shots they
hard.
did, 7 or 8 takes of those long shots must have been a lot of work. In a way, that's good because you might be getting people exhausted, and which might be a good look that you're going for.
Yeah.
That's true. But they start to like break down with their like
Yeah,
routines.
how did they like have everybody sweat the
movements
way they did? Were they in like these confined?
Spray him down between. They sprayed
yeah.
down the people. They sprayed down all of the walls and all the equipment between.
Oh yeah, to keep everything wet.
Yeah, they did. They ran the smoke. They had smoke before every shot. They would run around, spray everything, smoke the entire set, wait for the smoke to settle to a right point, and then roll for a take.
God, wow.
Dude,
Every
fuck, can you imagine how
single
gross you
shot.
felt leaving
yeah.
that every time? I mean, they looked exactly what they felt.
Yep.
Gross.
Yeah, the amount of stuff they did to make this movie look good was pretty insane. I think that this movie has the record for longest shoot a year. A year?
Hmm.
Like
It's a long
a
time.
fucking year?
Yeah,
Nothing
that's
else
true.
comes close.
Yeah.
I think like Kubrick had a 2-month, like a 3-month shoot.
How long was
something
The
like that.
Shining, including the studio burning down? I wonder if The Shining.
Oh, we
like-
haven't gotten there yet. Yeah, that's a good point. But I know that the Empire Strikes Back was like, oh, what was it? It was like 100 and something days.
Yeah.
180. I think it was like 180 days. So it was like, I forget. But I mean, a year. Nothing has come close to a year. Nothing is over 6 months.
Wow.
So the intro scene of them driving up to the bar where they get pissed on by the soldiers and stuff, that was added in the director's cut. That scene was taken in one shot.
Oh.
If you look at it, there's a lot of weather happening. It's like right before a storm, and it's right when night is about to break. So like they only had one take for usable light. So they had 3 cameras for that scene. They had one hidden in the car in the back, one hidden on the dashboard, and then one with the soldiers that pissed on the car. And that's all one take. And they threw it in
Wow.
there for the director's cut.
So I have a very interesting list on Wikipedia of list of films with the longest production time.
Oh,
Avatar 2, the act of killing was 2012, which took 8 years.
What?
This is about not necessarily shooting, but work on the film when it begins versus when it's. So it's not like actual necessarily shooting time either.
What about that documentary that does it every 7 years?
5 years for The Shining.
Right.
Wow.
Avatar 2 is 13 years in the making.
That doesn't count.
I know. So it's not necessarily like.
So shooting time, though, is all we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
'Cause The
Right,
Shining
right.
is said total time, 5 years. is
Eraserhead,
all right.
the Lynch film was 6 years.
Yeah, but they stopped a lot during that.
Right. The longest, like,
Continuous
Yeah.
shooting, funding the entire time, working the entire time.
Right,
So
Uninterrupted.
365
Right.
days of shooting, or like 300 something days of shooting.
Yeah. And
That's crazy.
continuous.
Yeah, so that's harder to find. It's harder to find.
It's very specific, but yeah, this is probably close to the top, I would imagine. They also shot it in sequence. They did that to get all the beards and stuff correct. Those are
that
all real
makes sense.
beards.
That makes sense.
Wolfgang Petersen told the cast like not to go out in the sun once they were filming because they wanted to look pasty and starved of sunlight.
If you do, wear like all sorts of shit.
They did it, and again, it's set up really well. And this is in the book too, where the captain's like saying, "Look, don't take pictures now. You wait. These are like boys. You wait till they've been out at sea, and you can take some pictures then. We don't want to embarrass the enemy that a bunch of like smooth-faced boys like sank all their ships."
True.
So it was, yeah.
So in the theatrical version, that bar scene, there's credits over all of that stuff where they're walking into that bar and all the establishing shots and like
that's
greeting
terrible.
people. Yeah. Wolfgang Petersen did not like it, but again, rules of cinema, you have to have titles.
Wow. So they
You have to have the titles and
that whole,
credits.
so that whole pissing
Guilds.
scene, did they cut out him saying I got pissed on too, which was such
The
a great
beginning of the
line.
movie, the beginning of the movie is that them walking into the bar with the titles going over. So the pissing thing is gone in the theatrical cut, and the beginning is just, them walking into that bar with title cards, or not title cards, but titles over the images.
Right.
Same editing,
Yeah.
but like with words.
Wow.
Picture over credits.
The bar scene was one of the only scenes not shot in continuity. It was near the end of the shoot, so everybody was pretty friendly with each other by that point.
That does make sense. Actually, that makes sense. That's a good
Great
way
idea.
to do it, right?
Yeah. The bar is a set.
And they're celebrating like they've done all the hard shit. Now they're going to have a party, kind of. It works out.
And some people really got drunk. So, hey.
Yeah, right.
Hey, it's a good time.
The bar is a set. Pretty freaking good set. You could kind of tell it was a set, but it was really detailed. It was
I don't know. I felt like, again, like everything else, like you were there with them in a place. I don't know. I didn't,
it was the same designer as the submarine. There's one existing full U-boat, according to this commentary, which was recorded in the 90s, because they talked about Laserdisc a couple times. But back in the 90s, they at least had one of these U-boats in the Chicago Museum. And Wolfgang Petersen and the set designer went there and mapped out the interior of it. And literally, they said bolt by bolt, screw by screw, recreated it for the set of the submarine in this movie.
Wow.
So that's why it looks so good. It took them a long time to do it.
My God.
Here's some sound stuff for you, TC.
All right.
In the theatrical version, they found what do you call it? Stems. Stems. Is that a word that you know? Oh, TC knows what stems.
Yes.
I don't know what stems are.
Neither did I. Stems is like pure audio files. Like before a mix, you just have, if you're recording a song, you have the bass is a
just
stem,
like
the
raw.
guitar is a stem.
Okay.
It's all individual parts.
Yeah.
They're
like mix downs. The stems are usually mix downs. So like a stem would be like, like your drum mix. That would come in as a stem.
Oh, so like not like it wouldn't be like a snare
Not
drum.
a
It'd be
raw
like
deal,
drums.
Right. So your bass stems would be like if you had multiple mics on your bass amp, right? Like then you come in as a
But
bass
you mixed
stem.
it down instead
After you've already mixed it down, right?
So it's not quite the raw.
So you're
but
delivering
it's
stems,
like
right?
Yeah. Okay.
So you delivered your stems as mixed down. So like that, you like if someone wants to adjust the bass, they just can manipulate the level of the bass, but they're not going to adjust any like the EQ and all the other stuff because it's already been mixed down into stems. So your final deliverables, right, would be your dialogue stem, right? So like all the dialogue would be in one mix, and then your effect stem, your background stem, and then so that's how it gets the final deliverable that goes to the studio would
So
be
what
in
they
stems.
did on that note, so they had all the original stems, and what they did for the director's cut is they used just the dialogue stem for the director's cut, and then all the other audio, for the most part, they were kind of vague on it. But they redid it all for the director's cut.
Yeah.
So like,
Love that.
I'm kind of curious to watch the original cut just to see how the sound differs because it's totally different.
I bet.
And when the director's cut was released theatrically, most of the reviews talked about how good the sound sounded. And I think they tricked all the people because, most of the reviewers probably saw the original one because it was highly regarded when it came out. Like it was a huge, huge hit. A huge hit across the world. 6 Oscar nominations for a foreign movie.
Damn.
That doesn't happen.
No.
Right.
So
What
it was a
won the
huge hit.
Oscar that year, I wonder.
Gandhi.
Oh.
So like
I'm not angry about that.
This lost all of its nominations, But like it lost cinematography to Gandhi, it lost Best Picture to Gandhi, it lost Best Director to Gandhi. Like that's
I mean, I really liked
It's a
Gandhi.
tough one to go up against.
I like Gandhi, but I just I don't know, just the complexity of this film.
Gandhi is an amazing movie, man. That movie,
Yeah.
and
No,
especially
it is. No, no,
cinematography, it has that
yeah,
one
yeah.
shot
It is.
with like, what was it, like 300,000 people
Oh,
in
I
that
know,
one
I know,
shot? Like
I
you
know.
can't fuck
no,
with
no,
that.
no. I was getting all ready to complain, and now I'm a little hurt that I don't get to complain. But yeah,
Yeah, but tough year for it. But I mean, still very impressive that that German movie got that
right,
much.
and Ben Kingsley, and that movie was wonderful too. But yeah.
So they had little models, and those little models of the submarines, this 11-meter submarine thing that I'm talking about, had little. I didn't notice this, but he pointed it out. Wolfgang pointed it out. There are people on the bridge, and the bridge is like the little top area, the crow's nest.
Right. Yeah. Right.
There are people on that 11-meter model, with
Right.
that guy laying flat in it.
So
There are
how does
people.
that work?
They are. He said he was joking. He's kind of a hard guy to read. I think he might have been being honest. He said he dressed up Barbie dolls in army uniforms, like war uniforms, and then
No
they
way.
put like servos and made them little robots. And he had a button to make them wave, and he had a button to make them duck. So they could
No,
fucking
you're
move.
kidding. I don't believe it.
Yeah.
It looked so good.
Yeah.
I don't believe it's Barbie dolls.
So there's a guy laying
I don't
flat
either.
in this fucking weird little, I don't even know what
Right,
you'd call
with
it.
Barbie dolls
With
on
Barbie
the
dolls
top.
on the top that can either bend down or stand up and then wave their hands, because when they see the other submarine, it was the same model they used for
Yeah.
that second submarine in that submarine
Get
shot
the
where they're
fuck
waving.
outta
They're
here.
little Barbie dolls with little fucking mechanical whatever they have on their elbows waving, and he has
Dude,
button,
I'm
he's
watching
pressing
this
a button.
on like a I don't know,
Really?
27-inch screen. I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing Barbie
how big?
dolls. I mean, well, it's like a pretty big
27 inch,
screen.
huh?
I don't know. What is
Small.
it? I know. I'm sorry. These days, I think.
Dude, I
don't
watched
know
it
why.
on a 65-inch HDR
I mean, on a
4K
big TV, I don't know
and
what
it
it
looked
is. Yeah.
fucking real.
Right? I
Yeah.
can't imagine when I look in the theater. It'd be interesting to see in the theater is like if you can see that, knowing that this is like a little submarine go-kart and some
can't-
Barbie dolls.
You literally can't tell. They were talking
Yeah,
about it,
it's
dude. And I was
amazing.
rewinding it, and I was like, Jesus Christ, no way. No way.
No way.
Yeah.
It's
Something
crazy.
else.
He was joking about how he liked those little people on top there because they would never complain. He's like, these are my favorite actors in the movie. They never give you shit. They do exactly what you say every single time.
Oh,
Right.
that's funny.
I push the button, they wave. I push
And
another
they
button,
wave.
they
Yeah,
duck.
but- yeah,
and
right.
they do
They
it.
don't need sleep. They don't need food. They're very cheap. It's very nice. So there was a really cool hidden. This is I'm going to recommend again. You guys should watch the commentary. I know you guys never do, but like this one was a really good one.
Yeah.
They only had one top end. How can I?
So
explain this
you'd have
clearly?
to. What did you buy the DVD or?
I got
you
it from
bought the Blu-ray?
Netflix.
Oh, because you'd have to get because you don't get the Apple version. I had you don't get any features.
Right.
or
I'm
anything.
still
I
getting the
just started
discs,
renting it.
dude. I'm still getting the discs.
Yeah.
They're still doing it.
Is there
Um,
like a Blu-ray version available? of
That's
the-
what. Yeah, they have a Blu-ray director's cut with a commentary track,
Okay.
and I think you can get it for like $10. I think it was pretty cheap
Right.
last time I checked. I assume they're going to put the set on 4K at some point soon, and I'm going to hold off for that one because that's going to be good. But so what they did, they had those 11-meter models, but they also had, as you noticed, what looked like a submarine they were standing on with actual people. Like there were
Right.
actual shots where there were human beings on this thing that
Right.
looked
Right.
like a
Up
submarine.
on the bridge. Right.
Yeah. That was not a submarine. That was a boat. That was
Ah.
a boat with like a cap on it to make it look like a submarine. The entire the insides were hollow.
But they
Um,
were out there on the sea with it.
they
and
were out there, so
like,
it
actually,
was-
that's okay. So that helps me feel like how because that was pulled off so well. It's like it really seemed like they were out there on the ocean in a
Yes.
lot of those scenes.
They filmed some of it on a lake in Munich. They filmed a lot of it in the North Sea, which is like the sea right next to Germany. And they filmed most of it out in the North Sea.
Wow.
But that was just a boat. And they built this boat for this movie, Das Boot. Damn it. They built that
Das
for
Boot.
this movie, pre-production. But before this movie came out, Raiders of the Lost Ark needed a submarine, and they optioned out that boat they built for this movie to Raiders of the Lost Ark. So this
Oh,
same
that's
boat
awesome.
is also
That's
in
cool.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I'm looking forward to Raiders of the Lost Ark now,
Yeah.
so I can see that and say, there it is. That's cool.
So same boat, and he was pissed because he thinks they broke it somehow. Because halfway through the production, it fell apart, and they couldn't figure out why. Wolfgang was like, they had to have done something and patched it up because like how it broke apart, we didn't do anything to it. You know,
Those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford was like, I'm not fucking paying for that. I don't care
Spielberg
what I
fucking
do.
taped it up and was like, send it back.
It's
Good-
all right.
good
Everything's
enough.
fine.
We're good
They're
here.
not gonna know.
Yeah, right. We're good.
They don't know
No
what they're
big deal.
doing.
Yep.
It's not like they're really gonna use it for anything.
I'll say broken shipping.
There's a shot. So the ship was broken to the point where they tried to dock it to the dock they used, but part of it broke off and washed up to shore and got banged up against rocks. So it got damaged. They had to reconstruct it, and it kind of made those shots less frequent. They wanted more shots using that than they were allowed because they had to fix the boat.
Oh,
And there's actually
Oh.
a shot they point out in the commentary where the two people are walking towards the front of the ship, and the front part starts breaking off, and you can see it a little bit. Just
Oh,
like it
really?
starts separating from the center of the boat.
oh God! Wow.
Huh.
Impossible to see unless you're looking, but he's like, this shot right here, and like pointed at it. I was like, yep, you can see that right there. That's breaking. He's like, yeah,
Wow,
we had
like
to cut it here because it started getting more and more obvious, and those people were in danger, so we went out and got them. But they only had one of those boats, right? This is one boat, and this was the submarine that was in the intro scene when they were on the docks, and they were kind of
Mhm.
going from bay to bay, and you see a bunch
Yeah.
of submarines. If you
Yeah, it
rewatch,
looked friggin' real.
it looked real.
Right.
If you look at that shot, there are hidden edits a la 1917 where they reuse the same model and just have every time they go from one bay to another, there's something going on where they can have an edit. Like there's welding or there's someone walking in front of the camera and they just
Oh,
cut
okay.
and, redo that same bay, but it continues, like camera's moving at the same speed and it keeps going and it makes you feel like they're just walking down this huge fucking submarine port.
Right. Wow.
Wow.
They didn't have digital removal back then, obviously. And where they shot it was a real port. It was a port during World War II, but now it's for regular ships, and they have cranes and modern ships. To shoot the intro scenes and the ending scenes, they had to remove all the cranes, modern cranes, all of the ships, and it was one of the most expensive parts of the movie, is just to pay everyone to get all their stuff out of that
Oh
area.
God! Just to literally remove all the stuff.
Yes, big ass boats. Like your
Wow.
ships are
Yeah.
fucking huge. Like they had to get
Right.
everyone to move their shit out of there for I don't know how long they shot there. They didn't mention it.
Oh
but
my God!
they said that was one of the most expensive portions. There's one portion that is
Right,
the
just
most
paying
expensive.
everybody off to move.
Yeah,
To move,
Right.
right.
and move the cranes. There's some inexplicable smoke in those shots, and the smoke is covering up things they couldn't remove.
Oh my! Oh wow! Oh, that's interesting.
It's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's like, well, it's war. Something's on fire. That's that's
Like
going
no
on.
Why
one,
not?
no one will notice. Yeah.
yeah.
How about the shots of the planes? Like at the very end, that was also like impressive.
All real
the-
planes.
Oh,
Really?
Just real planes, real explosions. That's all that was.
Holy cow!
So
Those planes looked amazing. The way that they were all like birds. They were like a flock of birds coming down. It was
So they figured the budget for this movie, it was a combined budget with the TV version. He said, and this is just Wolfgang Petersen, I don't know how much he knows about this. He said the movie version, the theatrical version, was between $15 and $20 million, and the 6-hour TV version
whoa.
was between 20 and 25. And that's not additive. That's just like, there's a difference between
Right.
$5 and $10 million between the cuts. That was the most expensive movie in Germany, and it still is, I think, with inflation. So it was a huge budget. So just imagine for this movie, $15 to $20 million. There was $2 million of that budget for this movie or for the explosive charges for that last scene alone.
Oh wow! really?
Damn.
That's 10% of the entire budget where the explosive,
Wow.
not even the planes, not the extras, not renting out the
Just
that
just
dock,
the explosions.
just the explosions.
Huh.
Shit.
$2 million.
That's a lot of money for explosions.
Yep. And it looked pretty fucking good. I was literally in awe when that the entire movie was impressive. And that shit started happening at the end. And I was just like, holy shit, man. There are planes
Yeah.
flying and bombing this area. Like,
Yeah,
It was
no,
totally
it was
unexpected.
Like,
impressive.
oh, right. They're still at war. Forgot.
yeah,
Right.
And
yeah.
then, just because they're
we're
coming
not
home
safe
doesn't
just
mean
because
it's
we're
over.
out of the water.
Right.
Right,
Just because we
right.
made it. And again, just this, yeah. It's another just so poignant of the film where they just were so heroic, survived against all the odds and beat
Yep.
the odds and did what they could. And then they just all die anyway.
I wanted to mention this, that booger flicking scene was in the theatrical cut.
Good.
Wolfgang was like, you got to put that in there. You got to. That's all he said. He's like, this scene, it's got great dialogue. Such a funny idea. You got to put that in there.
Nice. the ass to nose hair
Yep.
part that was in there. Yep.
Yep. That booger flicking to the ass hair and nose hair thing. That's all in the theatrical
It's
cut.
funny.
Good.
It really is funny.
You can't cut this. It's 2 minutes. You needed it.
It's too good to cut this. Yeah.
The guy in the boat, I forgot to mention this. The guy in the boat that was laying flat, one of the first times he got out of the boat, they, helped him get out. And Wolfgang said he was green and he started puking all over himself.
Oh God.
Ooh.
Just nauseous, just like
nauseous.
But not good to get seasick in a little small compartment when you're breathing have an oxygen tank.
He got seasick like
Right.
nobody's gotten seasick ever before or will do ever again. Like, I'm sure that
In a
little boat.
box, like seasick in a coffin.
Yeah. A little motorized coffin boat that they built for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they called what they put the set on to move it around a huge gibble. Gibble?
Gimbal?
It could be gimbal. What is a gimbal?
Gimbal's like a rotating kind of thing. Like if you, it's like kind of like it's on a ball bearing almost or something. Like so it'll just move around any
Okay.
rotation that you want.
That's what it was.
Huh. Seems right.
So Wolfgang Petersen said shooting in the submarine when they were shaking it around was, quote, scary as hell, end quote, because there was real metal on those sets and they were really throwing the actors around and like all of the furniture was real wood and metal. So it was basically a simulated, the same kind of thing. There was no safety precautions with anything. People were on top of each other and everything was wet. People could have gotten injured. They didn't talk about any injuries. So I don't think that happens. That's good.
Yeah, that is good. I'm
good.
surprised.
Surprising, though.
You see the crew getting
They got
thrown
lucky.
around that way? Holy cow.
Yeah.
They didn't have any injuries that anyone reported.
Yeah, they didn't talk about it. I mean, usually they're proud
Yeah.
of. Usually directors are proud. I don't know. This guy's German though. Maybe they're different than Americans. Usually,
Yeah, right.
like Americans, they're like, "Yeah, people got fucking killed. This movie's fucking awesome. I'm the man
Germans
director."
are like,
No.
tell nobody. Yeah.
They
Right.
restored nearly the entire film from the original negatives, which were somehow preserved pristinely. They found the original negatives where they were supposed to be stored, and it just doesn't happen that way a lot of the time. People just like throw them away or whatever. Mysteriously, though, so they had all these canisters of the negatives of the 6-hour-long version of the movie that they took from to make this cut. They lost 20 minutes of that 6-hour-long version in the negatives,
Damn.
Oops.
which is
They
just they
lost
couldn't
time.
explain. They couldn't explain how. Just 20 minutes of it were lost. So like somebody
Oof.
lost like 1 or 2 canisters of film.
Damn.
I don't know how much film he put on there. So what they did,
Shit.
so from that 6-hour-long version, there was 20 minutes missing. In this 3.5-hour-long version, he said there was between 5 and 6 minutes of that 20 minutes that was used in this movie, and they had to take that from not the negative. So like it wasn't as good of a source
Oh, wow.
for it, but
Interesting.
like they spent time on those to make them look like the negatives, so you really can't tell where those less good-looking pieces of film are put throughout the director's cut.
Damn.
So TC, I'm a little upset you didn't watch the subtitle version. They spent a lot of time
Can't do
on
it.
the dialogue audio on the director's cut. Since
Can't
that was
do
the
it.
only thing they remastered from the original movie.
Oh.
Every single sound in this movie, every single one, except for one scene, but every single one was dubbed or, ADR'd or added after
Wow.
the fact. Dialogue, sound effects, Foley,
That's amazing.
everything. Because almost the entire movie, save for one scene, was shot on a handheld camera where they had this gyroscope thing. They didn't have Steadicam, so it was like some kind of gyroscope configuration where the camera would stay. I mean, it was basically a Steadicam, but it wasn't attached to your chest. It was attached to your hands. So they kind of ran around with a
Huh.
smaller camera, which is how they got the camera through the portholes and got it in this, tiny enclosed spaces where you're cramming between people. But that thing was noisy as hell. So they couldn't use any reference audio in any of the
Interesting.
scenes where that one camera was used, and that was used for 99% of the film.
Oh, wow. Jesus.
There was one scene. It was the scene where the reporter gives the chief the bottle of apple juice when the chief is just like fucking dead tired.
Right. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, that was a
Mhm.
good scene.
That was
many
filmed
good scenes.
with a real camera because they thought that like scene needed their emotion, like real emotion there.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
In
so
the
many
moment,
scenes
yeah.
that like are like that though. I'm surprised they picked that one. Honestly, I don't know. There's so many scenes like that in this film. And that's another good one.
That one
Well,
stood
they
out to
shoot
them,
it
I
usually
guess.
before they edit
Yeah.
it, right? So they don't quite know
Yeah.
yet. They're just kind of rolling along with the shoot portion of it. So
That's true, but
Yeah.
like they planned this one out to be
It's
like,
like big
well,
in the
I'm
script.
surprised because you could think almost there's so many scenes where you think, oh no, that's real important. Like when the chief goes back and reports to the captain, or I mean,
the audio is flawless, dude. It matches up with the
Yeah.
mouths perfectly. I didn't for 1 second
Yeah.
think that this is ADR. Not for 1
Yeah.
second.
Well,
No,
I'm telling
me
you, the
neither. Yeah, it's
the dub was good. I barely noticed after I got used to just how it sounded itself because it's ADR, and I always usually hate ADR. It like their mouths moved and it matched perfectly, even in English.
So TC.
it was-
That's I'm happy that worked, and that sounds great. But I don't think even with your sharper ear than mine, I don't think you would have noticed that they ADR.
Oh, probably not.
The German voice where it was supposed to sync up perfectly with what they were saying.
Right.
I usually pick
It
up
was
on that
perfect.
stuff. It was perfect the entire way
yeah,
through.
no,
Wow.
I had no sense. I didn't even think. I mean, which is again sign of a job well done. I did not think about the sound at all.
Yeah.
I did
Well,
not. I did
not in a bad
think-
way. Only
Right.
like in
No,
an
no. I
immersive
mean, I
way.
didn't. No, I mean, I didn't even like. Yeah, I wasn't. Not for a moment was I. And I think part of it is just like, and maybe it helps that you're always really close to everybody, so you don't need to worry as much about like depth and things like that with the
True.
speaking voice because everybody's in your
True.
face. So maybe that makes your job easier, right?
Yeah, because you're not trying to like place them
Yeah.
10 feet from camera.
You don't
You're
have to.
trying hear
Everybody
them.
is
right,
friggin'
yeah.
right next
So
to
like
you.
logically in your brain, it makes sense that they sound so close because they
Right,
are
right.
so close. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. Johnny right there. That's a
That's
good
a
point.
really good point. I wonder if they
Thanks,
thought about
John.
that or if it just worked out.
I'm sure they
It
did.
worked out. But yeah.
Some of the audio tapes they wanted to use were stored wet when they found them. They were just moist. and
Whoops, that's not
unreadable.
good.
But
Hey, we should just put these in water,
Damn.
right? That's how we store them, right?
It seems
Put
right.
them in brine.
Yeah, it seems good.
But what
Spray
they-
them down just like the walls.
they called the
Yeah.
manufacturer of the tape material, and the manufacturer gave them advice saying like you could cook them for 24 hours at this temperature in an oven. And then once you do that,
Oh, that seems good.
you'll have one chance to run them through a machine
No
to
way.
pull the audio out. Once you run it through a machine
Holy
after you cook them
fuck.
like this, the thing will be destroyed. So they had one chance to do it, and they got it.
up.
Wow.
Oh, they got
They
it?
got it.
Holy shit.
Yep. Saved some
Holy
very damaged
fuck.
audio.
That's fucking awesome shit
Yep.
right there. That's real restoration. That's
Oh yeah,
that's
they were
isotope.
sweating.
RX6 shit. You
I'll
know?
bet,
They
yeah.
were sweating so hard when they were doing
They're
that.
getting. It seems like there's so many parallels between the film. You got this one guy in a little submerged coffin, sweating and claustrophobic, while the actual crew's all in the film's like sweating and claustrophobic. You got
Right.
the director and whoever else like trying to restore the film, sweating and scared about like I don't know. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
The parallels there about like they're having their own tension as they're trying to recreate this film, which is insanely tense.
Mm, that's true.
So this full length boat set still exists. Again, this commentary is in the 90s, so maybe not anymore. It's been 20 plus years, but it did exist in the 90s, and you can go take a tour of this set. It was at
Nice.
Bulvaria Studios was the name of the company that produced this movie.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's still around. This
I
film
wouldn't either.
is still.
I would agree. I
Uh.
bet it's still somewhere. Why destroy it? I mean, that would be so. You already have a museum of it. One day you're just like, no one's coming to the museum. Burn it all down. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't happen.
It looks like here. I'm looking online that there's
Still around.
You can still visit. There's the set in Bavaria Film Studios.
Mm.
Nice.
Oh wow! Look
Do they
at
have
this here.
do they have the Das Boat in there?
Das Boot.
Yeah, they got some pictures
Ooh,
there.
we got another links. This whole links thing. We learn something new every time, huh? I'm impressed.
You can do this in Zoom. Any of your video apps
Wow.
will have a messaging center.
Dude,
but
I love
this
that. I love it how the picture on the side of that is just from a scene in a movie that I didn't think they would make a poster of, but it's fucking beautiful. The guy just
Yeah.
like listening to the machine there.
Yeah.
It's a
right.
great picture.
He was, yeah.
Oh, and they got the top of the sub there with that little
Right,
weird
with
shark.
that shark with the
Ah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's cool.
Fucking A.
Look at us,
That's
we're
cool.
film nerds.
I've always been a film nerd. Come on.
I am turning into what I don't know. A film like this
Turning?
makes me
Turning?
a film nerd.
Yeah,
I feel like
it's
I'm
pretty
more of a
cool.
film nerd when it comes to something like this now.
I'd go
But
see
yeah.
a tour of this.
Yeah, so would I.
Fuck yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
But
Looks like we're
isn't it
going to
amazing? Like,
Germany, boys.
So we're looking at pictures of the set, and I feel like I really know these places, right?
I know. That's exactly
you
what
know
it is.
exactly where they are in terms of everything else on the ship.
Right.
Right. And I would so go in there and be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Dude, that's
It's
cool.
like what Universal Studios is supposed to try to be, right? That's what the rides
Yeah,
are all
right.
about.
Yeah. What else we got?
Seems like
So
a
that
cool place
long
to check
shot
out.
where they ran down the entire ship, that was apparently that's the most famous shot because people just ask how it was done because cameras had never been able to do that kind of movement before.
Like when they're all running to get into place.
Right.
Like, and they the camera just
It
is like
happens a couple
shooting through the whole
times,
thing.
but there's one time it's weird because Wolfgang during the commentary was like, "Oh, this is the shot." He's like, "Oh no, that's not the shot," because they were running through the same way. But there's one time where they go basically what you're supposed to assume is from the back of the boat to the front, and it's the longest shot that it happens.
Wow.
You should include this link in the details. Maybe this is great. This
Sean's not even
true.
listening
That's
to
a
me.
good
He's just
point.
looking
I'm
at
sorry, I'm
pictures.
No, he's not.
I'm going
He's
through all
not.
these pictures, and you're seeing pictures of the models and everything.
It is, John. I'm also honestly, as I'm talking, scrolling through these pictures.
Yeah. So sorry. I mean, I'm just like, wow.
If you're listening, you should scroll through these pictures right now
So
because
this is
they're awesome.
argunners.com.
Don't say it all, dude. Just
What
I'll put
did I search for? I just searched for.
just type in visit Das Boot 1981 set. Bavaria
I
Film
put
Studios.
take a tour of Das Boost set and into Google, and then this was the first link that came up. So in Bavaria Film Studios,
argunners.com.
yeah, but you just I'm sorry, Dave, you just were describing all these things, and then I'm scrolling down, I'm seeing the models, and it's incredible.
It
so
is.
anyway, sorry.
Yeah,
No
that's cool.
problem. So basically what I'm trying to say is that long shot, they did 16 takes and 2 of them were good and they used 1.
Wow. As I imagine, like they're doing that, and like they're like people are like fucking it up somehow.
Yeah.
With because as they're scrolling down, people are running back and forth and getting out of each other's way and jumping over each other and
Not looking into the camera. Not looking into the camera.
Right.
Not look. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Exactly.
That's
You
got to
get
be
it.
like the hardest thing, right? Because I mean, you got to pretend like it's
Absolutely.
not there somehow, but then also be aware
Right.
of everything that's going on.
Yep.
Submarines, John. All right, here's a game. How many torpedoes do you think a U-boat has, like ready to fire? How many bullets does a regular
How
U-boat
many
have?
bullets?
Torpedoes.
15.
There's so
15.
many.
15, 16,
no,
16.
No, I think
16.
it was like 4 or 8 or something.
many?
They say it in the book. But there's like
You're wrong,
so
John.
many
TC's
4
right. He
and
guessed
so many,
it. It's 16.
at once.
16.
Wait a minute.
It can
Ready to
fire
fire?
4. It can fire 4 at once, but they have 16 on the boat, so they can reload the
Well,
4.
right,
They have
right.
4 bays.
Right, but that isn't all at once, right? You got to load it in.
No, but they have 16 bullets. You know,
Right,
torpedoes.
16 torpedoes.
How many
yeah.
bullets did he have?
They have
I
Is
thought
that
you were saying how many.
bullets.
You were
Yeah.
saying how many can they
bullets?
fire at once?
no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying how many bullets do they have?
Hey,
How many
bullets do they have
torpedoes
total?
do they have?
They have big
Or not
ass bullets.
Denny.
There you go. Yeah. Bullets.
They got those underwater
I
bullets.
said 15
John.
All right,
and then
TC
16 because
wins.
it seems right. Seems right.
TC,
Because you gotta like you know
knew
how
it
many you
for
gonna go.
some reason, TC. That really just spoke to you really quick there. You knew the
Oh,
answer
yeah, I knew
immediately.
it. I knew it. I love a good sub. I've never been on one in my life. Yeah. Love a good
So
meatball.
that scene where the people, it was the scene where they shot a torpedo, it hit the boat was on fire, and people are
Yeah.
jumping off the boat when they're on fire. That
Mhm.
set of the boat was built in the tank in Munich, and it's about 25 to 30 feet up in the air. And those are stuntmen. The set is on fire, the stuntmen are on fire, and they're jumping 30 feet into this tank. That was just what happens. That's the shot. That they filmed.
Wow.
Wow.
It wasn't Barbies.
Nope. That was real.
Okay. Got it.
Every single day, they had a 45 to 60-minute conversation with the entire cast and crew to come up with ideas for how they could best shoot that day. They knew what they had to shoot that day,
Huh.
and they had a conversation with like an
And they would
hour-long
just
meeting
talk
with
about it with
everyone.
everybody. huh?
Everyone.
Wow.
Like, what do you think we should do here?
They did it every day for a year.
Maybe that's how it got part of what the magic of how it was so well coordinated
Yeah.
and how you felt like, I don't know.
That production-wise,
Everyone was
I
involved.
could see Hollywood saying, no fucking way, that's a waste of time,
Mhm.
right? You're having everybody come in, we have to
Absolutely.
pay them
Right,
for an
right. You
hour.
only
you
need
know.
What are you
principles or
guys
whatever,
getting
I
paid
know.
for if you're letting the crew fucking make the decisions?
What are
Yeah,
you
right.
talking about? The script is already written. We already have it storyboarded. Go in there and shoot the shot. That's it.
Right. That's it. You got 5
But if
you got
everybody
5 days
every
to do
day
this.
is you're like spending over an hour talking about what you're doing, how we're going to do this, and discussing it, then maybe it helps everybody like galvanize around it. So they're all like, all right,
dude,
yeah,
John,
this is what we're
totally.
going to do.
I'm totally like, I'm on your side when I'm talking about Hollywood. They're
Yeah.
doing it wrong.
Yeah.
They're doing it to
Right,
like
right.
save
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
That's a good idea.
They're doing it for speed at this
Well,
point.
for this particular
as fast
film,
as possible.
like to pull off what they did in terms of like having so many people be so coordinated,
Right.
It's kind of the hippy dippy way to do it. It's like, how do you feel today, guys? Oh, you feeling sad?
Yeah, what
Let's
are you
shoot a
gonna
sad
do?
scene.
The hippy dippy.
Yeah.
Hey, what are your feelings about
I'm
this?
feeling nervous. Good. Use that. This whole
Yeah.
movie is
Yeah.
nervous. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what are you
yeah.
sensitive to? Yeah, use that.
So nobody in the cast was famous, according to, I didn't do any research on this, so this is kind of take it at Wolfgang Petersen's word. Nobody was
Yeah.
famous. A lot of people became famous because of this movie. They had a casting director that traveled around Germany and Austria and did casting calls and picked people based on their faces, which
Huh.
I find
Interesting.
very hard to believe just because of how good everyone is at acting. Like, none of
Right.
these people
Yeah,
are
yeah.
actors. None of them are professional
Oh,
actors.
weird.
Save for like the drunk guy. That drunk guy in the beginning was like a stage actor, but
No
everyone else
way,
was like
no way.
new
Seriously?
to acting. Yeah.
Wow.
And some people,
Damn,
some
you would
people went
not know
on.
that.
No, you wouldn't. It's insane how good these people are at acting. But they were picked on their faces. So like, I don't know. I don't
either.
I don't know what that means.
I don't
Their
I don't
faces
either.
were great to the point where I never had any problem telling who was who. You know, like
right.
no one looks
They
that's
similar.
true.
were
Right. They were distinguished at the
interesting,
same time.
To
Yeah.
say yeah.
If you noticed, this is a nice little narrative trick. When they were going away from home and after boats and out on their adventure, all the ship movements were from left to right. And when they decided to turn home, all the ship movements were from right to left.
Got it.
Yay.
Yay.
That never. Yeah. I don't know why,
Cool,
but there's a mild annoyance to that, like that the camera direction means something in that way.
Really? Why?
But I don't know why. I don't know.
I like
this
it.
is
It's
like-
simple narrative. You don't have to explain anything. It just
I
it makes sense
guess.
in your head.
Yeah.
We're going
Right.
we're
Why?
going backwards now. We're going the opposite
I'm
way.
just getting tired and grumpy.
That's
oh,
what it
we're at
is, I
this
think.
hour. Oh
Yeah.
shit. All right.
Yeah, it's the late hour.
Hey, I've done good. I've been doing
You
good.
did. You did. This is our second fucking go here.
Yeah. Give the old man some milk.
So Vigo is a city in Spain. I'm going to ignore that milk comment, John. Vigo is a city in Spain where they wanted to shoot
Warm
that
milk, a little
scene
toast.
where they were going into the Mediterranean Sea. That whole intro part where they show the
Uh-huh.
city, all that stuff. They wanted to shoot the real city. They did screen tests. They tried to film it at night. They couldn't capture anything. They tried for a while. None of it looked good. What you see in the movie is a set of miniatures, like a mountain range and two cities on either end of the thing, built with little lights that were flicker on and off mechanically, like programmed to do so, in the
Huh.
tank in Munich. They built a
No
little
way.
set off to the corner of the tank in Munich. And when the submarine pops up, when they're, when they first get to that area, that's also just a miniature in this one shot in this tank. They're all miniatures in that shot. It looks really,
Yeah.
really fucking good.
No, it does. I mean, this feels a masterpiece. It really. I don't know. And hearing you tell the stories behind it it makes it even more impressive.
Yeah, John, the commentary is one of the best commentaries I've listened to, for sure. They didn't storyboard. Fun little fact there.
Huh. Well, I mean, I guess if you're sitting there, well, yeah, that is interesting.
And what Petersen said was, we didn't storyboard at the time, which made me think about German filmmakers, is what I thought. But I could be
Oh,
wrong.
that was just not a thing that
Who's
was
we,
done, right?
right?
Like
I don't
nobody,
know.
Yeah, like we
Maybe,
didn't
yeah.
do that shit.
Yeah. Guess you don't need it.
Well, we did. Yeah, I mean, that's always seems to be part of like the director with the vision, and then they lay it all out so that they have a really clear
there's
idea what they
also
want to
like, what are you really talking about here? They're in a sub. There's only so many shots. I mean, right? Like
Well,
we're
yeah.
gonna be in this compartment. They're like, what the hell do they need to like storyboarding like the wide shot, the medium shot, the close up, right? Like I could see it, but here it's
do.
just like, hey, we're in this
That's
part.
kind of maybe a fair point. Again, the
You know,
the
It
the
depends on the
nature
type of
the
movie.
nature of the shots and the interior and where you were. There wasn't a lot of stuff you would do, in some
right?
ways.
You're
I
shooting
guess.
that way, or you're shooting this way, or
Right,
you're
right.
shooting close, but you're always close because you're in a sub.
So the shot where they get caught and they're kind of driving as fast as they can through the water, and there's like bombs and missiles going off in the background that kind of look like fireworks
Yeah.
and stuff. That was shot on a German lake, not in the North Sea and not in the tank. And all those special effects were live special effect work.
Right, live fireworks,
Live fireworks, live
flares and
explosions in
things.
the waters, like blowing up charges in the water next to the model. Wolfgang talked a lot about the real special effects in this movie. He's like, nowadays, and this was in the 90s, he's like, nowadays you have digital effects. A lot of
Mhm.
people think that like these things were just done later or done like somehow in a way that tricks you. But like, no, these are just explosions. This is what we're filming. This is what you're seeing.
That's cool.
Yeah. There's a prop girl in the movie. You can see her in the movie.
What?
Yeah. The scene where they finally land at the bottom of the ocean after their, the engines or whatever go out. There's a scene
Yeah.
where I think the chief is walking through somewhere. It's just a random shot, and you can see underneath his arm, he has it resting on a wall. Like there's a face of a woman in the shot. Since like this set was
Interesting.
so crammed, they had to like put people places and hide them.
Well,
through the
yeah,
set.
right.
And you can just see her. Like it's
can
really,
see her
really hard to
hiding?
see her. You
No
can see her
way.
face. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's funny.
You would never see it. It's like a dimly lit scene because all the power is kind of dim and stuff. But like he points it out. He's like, look under his arm right there. There's a face. That's the prop girl. I'm like, holy shit. There's a face right
That's
there.
cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
So they said the commander was alive during the shoot. He was tapped for advice on authenticity, is what they said. So
Oh, wow. Okay, the actual
So,
commander this
the
is
actual
based on?
commander, yeah. So that scene where they were trying to get the water out of the set when they were sunk, they took
Mhm.
the set that they built, the submarine set, they tilted it on an angle, and then they built a tank around the set and filled the tank up with water.
Damn.
Yeah.
They got
Yeah,
some crafty.
What do
They
you
got
mean,
some
yeah, John?
crafty
Yeah.
things going on here.
That's what
He's
you
dead.
do.
He's ready
That's
to
what
sleep.
you do.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
John. That's
He's
fucking
bent. He's
crazy,
bent.
John. All right, guys,
I
we need
know, it
water.
is
We're going to
crazy.
take this entire fucking fake submarine set that we built. We've been shooting it for the past 8 months. We're going to tilt it at 35 degrees, and then we're going to build a giant fucking glass tank around the bottom half, and then we're going to fill that shit up with water, and then you're all going to be in the water for 16 hours a
Bailing
day,
it
every
out.
day. Really, they were in the water for that shit, and they didn't have money to warm the water. It was freezing cold, and they were in there for a while.
God, it led to anybody get like colds and pneumonia or whatever? I mean, but it certainly led to the authenticity of the scene, I'm sure.
Again, he
God.
didn't mention it, but you'd think that he's just not mentioning the injuries and sicknesses that probably
Yeah,
happened
yeah.
during this film.
Yeah.
Wolfgang Petersen got a letter in the mail or some kind of notification that he was nominated for a Directors Guild Award. And he said, he looked at it and he said, I don't know what that is. I wonder if this is real. And then put it in his pocket and forgot about it. And then one of his friends
Nice.
came like a month later and was like, dude, are you going to go to these ceremonies? They're in like 3 days. And he's like, what? He's like, it's the Directors Guild. And he's like, oh, yeah, I kind of remember that.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, and he's like, what is that? Is that good?
Huh.
And he's like, dude, it's American directors telling you that they think your movie is the best. And he's like, oh shit. So then he flew to
Oh.
the ceremony.
He's like, I thought that was my electric bill.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I had no idea.
He
What
just
that
had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
He had to have a
Oh.
he almost missed it.
Would have been awesome if he missed it. To be honest, he's been like, oh, I'm just so good. I didn't know.
So did you hear about the injury that happened to Pilgrim when they do the man overboard scene?
Who's Pilgrim?
So he's the guy that fell over, when
Oh,
they
the
did
wave
that
hit
man
him?
overboard
Okay.
scene?
Yeah.
So that was actually an injury there?
No. What
So
happened?
this is from the Wikipedia. I was just doing some searching on injuries with Das Boot to see if there were boot. See, I still say boot too.
yeah, me
Boat,
too. God damn it.
Right? Damn it. I know.
Das Boot?
So a mock-up
Das
of
Boot.
according to Wikipedia, so a mock-up of the conning tower was placed in the water tank. When filming on the outdoor mock-up of the conning tower, jets of cold water were hosed over the actors to simulate the breaking ocean waves. Like we saw that. During the filming, there was a scene where actor Jan Feder, who played Pilgrim, fell off the bridge while the U-boat was surfaced, and Federer broke several ribs. The scene was not scripted, and during the take, one of the actors exclaims, "Man overboard," in order to draw attention to Federer, and Peterson, who didn't realize that this was an accident, said, "Good
He
idea.
thought he was on a
We'll do-
ship.
Yeah, we'll do that one more
wow.
time." Since Federer was generally injured and had to be hospitalized, this was the only take available, and eventually Peterson kept the scene in the film, and the pained expression on Federer's face is authentic.
Wow.
And not acted.
That's crazy. That's cool.
That is
And then
crazy.
Peterson had to rewrite Federer's character for a portion of the film so that the character was portrayed as bedridden. Jesus. See, I don't think you just seem to be like remarking too much on the people that got hurt.
Yeah. Doesn't want to talk about it. I got one more piece of trivia, guys. One more piece of trivia. How do you feel about that?
Okay. Let's go.
So, since the
I
ending
feel
is
good.
kind of totally made up, according to Wolfgang, since the commander didn't die, and I think a number of other people die, the ghost character, Johan, or whatever his name is, the decisions on who died in that scene came from a walk Wolfgang Petersen and his wife had during the filming or during the writing of the screenplay, or one of the two. They had a walk just like with themselves, and he asked her, who do you think should die? He asked his wife.
Huh.
They talked about it. They decided during a walk.
Eh, okay.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
it's a morbid little walk right there.
That
Who do you
is a
think
little
should
more
die?
walk.
Who do you like? Who do you think should live and die? Well, the
Oh, they
commander
should
has
all-
to die. Well, yes, obviously,
They all
the commander.
pretty well,
has
yeah,
to
that
die.
happened in the book, right?
clearly, naturally.
I mean, they
what
pretty
did
much
him,
all
yes.
died. I don't know there were many survivors, basically.
I mean,
There
that
was
was
a
the
bunch of
word, the
people on
saddest
the-
part. It was like, damn,
Yeah.
after all that, these guys basically all die? Fuck
Yeah.
me.
Better getting bombed than like suffocating on a fucking submarine stuck underwater.
Nah, I mean, it just sucks either way. I don't
You
know.
know,
It's
yeah,
no good way.
I'll go kind of with
It's just all
CC
shit.
there. That
Eh,
it's
we're
not
all
like-
gonna die, dude.
let's
I'd
say-
rather
let's say-
fucking-
no.
It's all about
Yeah,
how
I'd
you
rather have
die.
it not be miserable
let's
both
say you
ways.
get like instantaneously blown up, but that's not even what happens. These people are getting shot and burned and shrapnel and all that stuff. You know,
They're
not-
scared before they go.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
That's
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
pretty painful either way. But yeah, I don't know.
I don't want to be frightened before I go, you know? I'm
Yeah,
like,
that would
oh,
be fair.
shit, and
That's
then
fair.
The
that's
reason
it.
I'm not going
It'd
in the
be rough.
hole is because the most frightened I can be is being stuck underwater with no way out. Like, holy shit, that is hell. That's
Yeah,
like being
that would
buried
be
alive.
rough.
So there
Rough.
was a sequel of the same name that was a television series released in 2018 with different actors, set 9 months after the end of the original film.
What?
Oh, boy.
So
That's gotta be
What is
bad.
it called?
That's got to be really bad.
it's called
really bad.
Das Boot, the same name.
It's the same name, but it's a sequel. What? Get the fuck out of here.
I have no knowledge of this like
Television
where it's at
series.
or how
Yeah,
you'd
that's why
watch
it's
it,
the
but
same name, huh? Hulu.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Hulu?
And it's 85% on Rotten
17
Tomatoes.
17 episodes.
Holy
There's 3
fuck.
seasons. What?
Yeah.
What? And
As a
here we are
whole.
like, this is unbelievably great. And then it's like, yeah, no
Yeah,
shit.
TV
People have been watching
series.
this.
I'm not going
last
to watch
couple
this.
years.
There's no way a Hulu TV show can match this movie. There's no fucking chance.
I don't know.
TC's got his night planned out.
Might have to watch it.
On that note, guys, that's all I got.
Good job though, Danny. Good job watching all that
Good
commentary.
Yeah,
job.
give
Good
us a
job
great
reading all that
movie.
shit. Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah.
How many other
It was a good movie, man.
I mean, I'm looking at the list now. Like, what other movies do we have? We're gonna stop being surprised at the quality of movies at some point, right? There's gonna be like the last one that
Yeah.
really surprised us.
Yep.
This might be one of
Maybe
the
I
ones.
don't
Right.
know. I mean, maybe we can revisit this, but this is a top 10. This is just good
Yeah.
in so many
Yeah,
different
yeah,
ways.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Agreed.
I mean, whatever Hitchcock film we gotta watch, I can't imagine that living
It's
up
actually,
to this,
dude.
right?
Actually, it's Hitchcock next.
Is it North by
yes,
Northwest?
it is.
Oh,
Yes,
is
it
it?
is.
Yeah. Let's
Oh,
go.
I
Let's
think
do it.
we're
Is
Come
gonna
it
on.
go-
going to
no,
be good
no.
or bad?
No. We're doing so. We already did top 250. Yes,
Oh, what are we doing?
all of us 3. So I have 2
Yeah.
options here for this bonus episode next week.
Oh, what do you got? What do you got?
I want to watch either Minari.
Huh?
Fuck is
Minari.
that?
It's so these 2 movies. We watched Nomadland. These 2 movies are the top 2 contenders with Nomadland for Best Picture this year.
Oh, very cool.
Minari synopsis. It's by Lee Isaac Chung. The synopsis is a Korean family start to farm in 1980s Arkansas. That's the synopsis of that movie. And The Trial of Chicago 7, which is an Aaron Sorkin movie. The story of 7 people on trial stemming from various charges surrounding the uprising of the 1968 Democratic National Convention in Chicago.
I want to
So-
see both of these.
So do I.
Minari seems like it could be good.
Minari,
Let's
I think
go.
I think
Yeah.
Minari might be good.
98% Rotten Tomatoes.
It's a foreign movie. It won Best Foreign Picture at the Golden Globes a few weeks ago.
And
right,
it's
let's do it.
PG-13, so it's wholesome. It's
Where,
good.
where do we got an easy way to watch it, or do we know?
I
Is
think
it
it's-
streaming somewhere?
I mean, it's got to be all over
I
the
think
place,
it's free
right?
somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's
Oh,
go.
it's not free on YouTube. YouTube. $20.
Oh, $20.
Oof.
Let me,
All right.
give me 1 second.
It's $20 on Prime. It's $20 everywhere.
Oh wait,
$20
it's like a new
bucks?
release price. Minari, how do you spell this? TC or Danny?
Minari. Minari.
Yeah, it's $20 everywhere. Shit.
That's all right. We'll,
What do you think,
figure
John?
it
We make money. You want to do it?
out. That's what I was gonna say, dude. Like $20. Who
All
cares?
right, all right. It's a new release. Let's support the
It's
film
a new
industry.
release. Support
the
movie.
It's
All
a
right.
foreign
Foreign
film in
film.
particular.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do
Let's do
it.
it. We're doing
$20.
Minari 2020.
All right, Minari it is.
Sweet.
Next week.
Next week. All right, dudes. Good talking to
See
you.
you
Have
both
a good
later.
weekend. Happy Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job,
Yeah,
guys.
John, get some sleep.
Yeah.
It's
I
late.
will.
You
I
know
will
you need to
go to
totally
bed.
go
You
to
earned
sleep
it, dude.
right now.
Good job, buddy.
You did earn it. Good
All right.
work.
That's right.
All right, boys.
Thanks,
Go
guys.
have your
later.
milk, buddy. You earned
I
it.
got my milk and my toast. You dip the toast
Yeah.
in the milk, and then it's
Ooh,
not so
and then
scratchy.
warm,
then
soggy
you get into
toast.
bed. Yeah, right. Yeah. All right, boys.
Stop 'em.